amazing human beings coming together for one sole purpose to talk about the power of surrender, the power that can happen in your life when you actually step out and let God step in.
I am doing wonderful in this room with so many powerful people and you just leading the way. So it's just amazing. Every time you do something, it's amazing. You know that.
Thank you. Why don't you tell people where you're tuning in from?
I am tuning in from the fabulous Kenosha, Wisconsin area, which I can say it is not snowing, it is not raining, and it's like maybe 45 degrees outside, which is a heat wave to us. Nice and sunny.
Nice and sunny. I'll take it. I'll take it. Now, you and I, we've known each other for several years now, and we've done a lot of work together. But for for one of the things that you bring that is a true example of how you have created something because of um an experience, a challenge. Like, I go back, you were bullied. You were bullied so badly as a child that you now have this amazing platform that you allow people to be seen and to be heard. And it came from that experience, yes?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And first of all, thank you for acknowledging that because I always like to tell that story because my mission really is to help the unheard be heard. And because I wasn't heard. In fact, I was just, like you said, from the age of 7 to 14, I was heavily bullied. I mean, they were calling me ugly. You'll never get anywhere. Why are you here? Why are you even in school? You can't learn. You're slow. And they thought I was slow because I was quiet and I was shy. It wasn't so much I had a learning disability. It's just that they put me, I put myself in the shell. First, I was going to say they put me there, but then I got older. I had to say I put myself there because no one can do anything to you unless you let them do that. So, with that said, that's just a little golden nugget there. That with that, but it lingered on. It lingered on in my life. Even today, I tell people just because they see Barbara J. Beckley up there, posting and in magazines and speaking and stuff, Barbara J. Beckley still goes back sometimes when people are saying, well, why are you trying to do a TV show? Why are you trying to get people on a show, their little show? You can't even show you're not even showing yourself up when you were little. So it's like, oh my God, here we go again. So I have to always remind myself and then remind others how important they are.
And in this era especially, it's even more important to reach the young ones and to recognize that this happens in so many more different ways now with the social media and all of that. So at what point did you feel like you just couldn't take it anymore and had to fall to your knees and be like, God, I don't know why, but I trust? Like, what moment was that for you?
Well, the moment there was two angels, I always say, because there's angels and people around you that help you boost you up, even though you're going through your terrible times or your low times in life. And it was a teacher at my school, and it was my dad. So my dad was like, I call him my biggest diamond. And that's why I named my business that. Where he used to always, every time I came home from school, I would cry, go in the room, shut the door, and just cry my heart out. And he would always come in and just try to lift me up. And that's why I love what you're doing now with, rising and surrendering. And even at that time when I was young, he was using that. And I'm going to put that in there, rise and surrender, because he was trying to raise me up to say, even though you're going through all this, you still are amazing, Barbara. You still are special. And there's a reason for everything in life. But the biggest moment that tables turned when I changed the age of 17 when my father passed away, because he was my biggest hero. He was my cheerleader. And when he passed, that really broke me a lot because then I was saying, okay, who's going to tell me now that I'm this person that's so amazing. My mother, I loved her dearly, but she had a different take on things. She was Sergeant Beckley, I call her. But on the other hand, my father was the other side of it. He was, kind of that loving, that caring, that just would put all in there, and he was gone. So I had to tell myself at that time, because I was at a time where I was almost going to be committing suicide at that time too, because I was thinking about taking my life because of him being gone, and I thought that was it. Um, but then what happened when I went and when I was in the hospital, after the big toll on me about my father dying, and a nurse came in the room and basically said, "I don't know what it is, Barbara, but it's something telling me that you shouldn't be thinking about what you're wanting to do to yourself and leaving this earth because you're just like a diamond in the rough. Something telling me you're a diamond in the rough, and you are here to shine in the world to help others." And that turned that table because, first of all, she didn't know what my father used to say like that, when my teachers told me that. She didn't know none of that. And for her just to come out the blue, and it's a dire time when I was about to just say, I'm done. She just came into that room. So I thank God for the angels because she was another angel. And that's what changed me. That's what said, you know what? My mission in life now is to make sure that everybody is heard. I don't care what's going on.
Wow. Wow. So that's just another example of them earth angels, man. They're around, and when you can witness and experience those moments, it is life-changing.
It's a strong change. And for it, I mean, didn't just get a little bit about my father when he passed, because he didn't pass from a disease or accident. He basically was murdered. So that's what really took the big toll, because I was like, okay, now his voice is shut down. And I feel like that was like, really? You decided to take somebody else's life because you were crazy? But then I got older, and this goes into the forgiveness part, because as you're going through your life, you have to, no matter what, try to forgive. It's not so much of that person, but for yourself. And I had to go to court for 2 or 3 years and go through this part with my father court case,
Wow.
where I had to get on the stand and basically give my father and say how the relationship we had together, because they were really trying to slander him,
Mhm.
for what happened, and had to look at the person that did the crime. And I told at the age of 17, 18 years old. So even with that going on, and me saying, you know what, I'm done with this, I still had to forgive that person.
Mhm.
And that was hard. That was really hard, because you have to do it for yourself, because I was holding a lot. I was holding a lot in, so I had to just say, okay, Barbara, in order to alleviate this heavy weight on you, to move and to help people so they can rise and surrender, so they can move forward, so they can be who they really truly are, so they can get their purpose out there. I had to be the leader of that, and that's why I had to do the forgiveness part too.
And you know what? That forgiveness part, it's so important in the life that we live daily, forgiveness. And I remember going, when I had talked about forgiving the woman that my deceased husband, had had the affair with. And I remember like God actually telling me when he said, forgiveness is not enough, cover him in love. Woo. Do you know how hard that was? Right? And so that's something that somebody needs to hear here today, because that I wasn't going to bring that up, but you mentioned forgiveness several times, and that's when God actually said to me, forgiveness is not enough.
Mhm.
Cover him in love. And what that does is it brings peace to you. It brings peace to you. So for you to have to go through that, and realize that forgiveness piece, it's huge. It's huge. So what could
Mhm.
you tell the person that is listening, that is like, yeah, 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 I get it, but it's still too hard for me? Where do they need to go to begin that place of forgiveness?
Well, I always tell people, first of all, just be real to yourself, be authentic. Just tell yourself, yeah, I don't like this. I'm pissed off or I'm upset or whatever. Let it out first. A lot of people say, oh, just, do that. And I'm like, no, because they're pissed off right now. They're upset right now. They're sad, they're depressed, whatever is going on. So let that out, cry it out, scream it out, whatever you got to do. Sometimes I go outside and scream real quickly because I'd be upset about something and I feel much better when I release it. So it's releasing it first. So I want to tell everybody it's okay. It's okay to do that. A lot of people don't, some people don't say that first. And then after you release it, find that anchor. And I always tell people everybody has different anchors in their life. Because as you know what an anchor does, you hold on with the boat with the anchor and it keeps it in place and it keeps it steady and it keeps it from fall, sinking or whatever. Find an anchor. If it's God, if it's meditation, if it's listening to certain motivational speakers, if it's doing your daily, scriptures, whatever it is, find that anchor that you feel comfortable with, not what somebody else feels comfortable with. That's, I want to say that. But what you feel comfortable with, because if you do it because somebody else told you, believe me, I'm telling you, I'm a living witness. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're going to go back to wherever you went to. But if you find that anchor and hold on to it and know that you have grace through God that's going to give you that day to day, not day to day, but every second of the day of getting through that. Because you know how some people say, oh, I do the day-to-day process. I say, you know what? I don't do day-to-day no more. I do every second of the day because everything's changing all the time. So you always have to have a little anchor going on. So that's what I would tell everybody is first release it. Make sure you let yourself know that it's okay because we're human. This is what we deal with. Our dad, our God, as Elena said, our God, but however you call him, your Jehovah, whatever, he knows that. He understands. He's love. He's
Mhm.
love. So he understands you got to let that and release it out. Then after that, just find that anchor that really just soothes you.
I love that. And when you're talking about every second of every day, I'm cracking up because there's times where I'm like in the bathroom and I'm tucking my shirt in and I'm like, Jesus, I trust in you. I mean, it's like it's for real as a conversation that is it's constant, it's ongoing. Like and I went to that like visual because that happened to me not too long ago. I'm in the restroom and I'm just like, Jesus, I'm still talking to him even when I'm in the bathroom. So one of the things on forgiveness is if you if you are still having a belief that something shouldn't have happened, this shouldn't have happened, it never should have happened to me, you haven't forgiven yet. That's so if somebody is still struggling with that something that's holding them, that anchor, like you said, if you have this belief that something shouldn't have happened, you haven't forgiven yet, and because it did, and who's to say it shouldn't have? It did. That's all in God's plan.
Yeah. And can I just add one more thing? Because I know my time.
Yeah,
When you just
absolutely.
said that, that was awesome, Queen, what you just said. Just to add to that about if you're still saying it shouldn't have happened. My dad, it's been over 30 something years, it's been a long time. And because he died around Thanksgiving. So every time the holiday comes, I go in this, sometimes I go in a spiral. Sometimes I'm good. Sometimes it's kind of, sometimes I'm good. And I always think God that I lost my dad, but I gained my dad because I gained him because he's with me every day, pushing me through this mission and this movement that was meant to be. So when you think about things that shouldn't have happened, sometimes it's pushing you, first of all, to learn from it, to grow from it, to experience it, because sometimes you experience things for other people so they can have hope. There's a lot of things in all of our lives on this panel right here that we went through, and there's a reason for it, because not just for you to grow, because it starts off with you, but then also to have that experience so you can help others that are struggling in that area. So always remember, it's not just about, see, when you have to say, you get to the point where it's not about you anymore, but it's about you growing so you can help others grow.
Amen. And it really, really is. And when we can look at our experiences through that lens, wow. Like, just imagine if you trust, like, even when you're in that yucky part, even when you're in that dark part, when you're in that hole trying to claw your way to the top, but you can trust that I'm not going to always be here. And at some point, this is going to serve a purpose greater than me right now. Like, if you can hold on to that, it helps you get through. So, Miss Queen, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And we've got some amazing things in the works. So I can't wait to share that. So everybody that is tuning in here, just remember Miss Queen Barbara Beckley and remember the diamond. And as we talk more, we will be sharing what we got coming up. But thank you so much for sharing your story and um, prayers for your dad as he looks down upon all of us right now. So
Thank you. Thank you,
thank you.
Queen.